CreepyCorner stories.
Hey everyone, welcome back to CreepyCorner stories. You know, diving into the dark web is always risky, but sharing these stories with you makes it worth it. I'm curious, where are you watching this from right now? Let me know in the comments below. I noticed that these kind of stories hit differently depending on where you are. It might make the experience a little creepier. So tell me, are you watching from the safety of your home or somewhere less secure? My sister was kidnapped 5 years ago. I just saw her in a dark web live stream, smiling at me. Yo, I don't even know how to start this, man. I've never posted on Reddit before. Not like this anyway. I used to scroll through r/no-sleep and think, man, these stories are fire. But now I'm the one typing one. Except this isn't a story. This happened to me. For real. It's been a week since I saw it. Since I saw her. My name's Carl. I'm 20. I live in Minnesota, and 5 years ago, my older sister, Jessica, disappeared without a trace. Like, gone. She was 18 at the time, and she was everything to me. You know how siblings usually fight and stuff? Nah, not us. We were tight. We'd binge Netflix together, sneak out to Taco Bell at midnight, and prank our mom with fake spiders every Halloween. Then one night, she just vanished. It was the middle of summer, July 4th actually. We'd just come back from fireworks in Minneapolis, and she said she was going to meet her friend Ashley at Starbucks down the street. She never made it there. Her phone pinged for the last time near an old gas station on the outskirts of town, and after that, nothing. The cops thought she ran away. The media treated it like some teen drama, but she left behind everything: her phone, her makeup bag she never left without, even her dog, Bella. And me? I never gave up. I kept searching for years, until last week. I worked nights at a sketchy warehouse near the freeway. It's boring, but it pays well and lets me chill with my headphones in. I was on my break, scrolling through TikTok like usual. You know how sometimes the algorithm shows you weirder and weirder stuff the later it gets? Well, this one time, it went off the rails. I was scrolling, and this one video popped up that didn't even have a username. Like, literally, no @ no likes, just a black thumbnail, and the title, "Do not watch this at 3 a.m. Real dark web footage." Now usually I'd laugh and scroll, but something about it made my stomach twist. It wasn't clickbait. There was no dramatic music, no like for part 2, just a grainy video of a dimly lit room, cold concrete walls, a metal chair in the middle, the kind of vibe you get in one of those old interrogation rooms from movies. And then I saw her, Jessica, sitting in the chair, wearing the same hoodie she wore the night she disappeared. She was older, pale. Her eyes looked tired, like dead tired, but her mouth was smiling. Not a normal smile, the kind of smile you get when you've been forced to rehearse it. Like a puppet. I dropped my phone. I swear to God, I almost threw up. I stared at the screen like I was in a trance. The video was only 45 seconds long, but it felt like an hour. She just sat there, staring into the camera, smiling. And then, at the very end, she whispered something, super low. I had to max out my headphones to hear it. "Kyle, they're watching you too." That's when everything changed. I started getting weird texts from unknown numbers, random sequences of numbers, GPS coordinates maybe. One said 61452, She's waiting. Another one just had an image, a blurry screenshot of my house. I don't even have my location on. My socials are locked down. I don't mess with creepy stuff. I don't go on the dark web. Hell, I don't even like horror movies. But somehow, they found me. I stayed up that night rewatching the video, trying to screenshot it, save it, anything. But when I refreshed the page, the TikTok was gone, deleted. I even tried checking my history. Nothing, like it never existed. So I did what every idiot in a horror movie would do. I went deeper. I started browsing Reddit, forums, Discord servers. I looked up keywords like missing people livestream, dark web kidnappings, smiling girl's chair video, and after hours of digging, I found a post on an old forum called Backdoornet. It had been inactive for years, but someone posted just 2 days ago. If you've seen the girl in the grey hoodie, do not engage. She's not who she used to be. It had one reply. He's already seen her. Now he's marked. I haven't told anyone about this, not even my mom. She still has Jess's pictures up all over the house, like she's coming home one day. I don't have the heart to tell her what I saw. I don't even know how to explain it. But something's happening. Every night since I saw the video, weird stuff has been going down. I hear tapping on my window at 2 a.m. My Wi-Fi drops at the exact same time every night. 3:03 a.m. I even got locked out of my own phone, and when I got back in, my camera roll had a picture of me sleeping in it, taken at 3:04 a.m. And then, last night, I got another message. This time, it was a link. No context. Just kurachat.onion/room13. I knew I shouldn't click it, but I did. I don't think I've ever known what real fear was until the second I clicked that link. I sat in my room in complete darkness, just the pearl blue glow of my monitor lighting up my face. The link opened with no browser notification, no loading screen, nothing. Just a sudden black interface, text only, with one title flashing at the top. Welcome to Kurochat, room 13. It didn't look like anything I'd ever seen before. No usernames, no chat bubbles, just a vertical stream of messages from God knows who. They were all time-stamped, like security logs. Thousands of them. 014219. Unit number 7 fed. Eyes still open. Gag loose. 014256. He's watching now. Marked then. 014311. Welcome, Kyle. I slammed my laptop shut so fast, I think I dented the corner. Let me just say this real clear. I never typed my name. I never signed in. This wasn't just some ARG or a prank or a deep fake. They knew who I was. They'd been watching me the whole time. And the worst part? That wasn't even the beginning. Later that night, I couldn't sleep. I kept hearing this soft scratching on the walls, like fingernails dragging across drywall. Not outside, inside. I live alone. I don't have a cat. I thought I was losing it, right? Stress hallucinations or whatever. But when I finally worked up the nerve to turn on my lights, there were numbers etched into the wall above my bed with something sharp, like a box cutter. 13, 13, 13, 13, 13. Over and over and over, scratched into the paint so violently that dust was flaking down onto my sheets. It wasn't there the night before. I would have seen it. My window was locked. My front door was bolted. Someone was in my house. I didn't call the cops. I couldn't. You think they're gonna believe me? Hey, officer. Someone broke in and carved numbers into my wall while I was asleep. And also my sister is smiling at me on the dark web. Yeah, okay. I didn't want to end up in a padded room. I grabbed my phone and called the only person I could trust. My friend Matt. Matt's the kind of dude who watches Mr. Nightmare videos for fun and still sleeps like a baby. Nothing ever phases him. So when I told him what happened, he thought I was pranking him. He even laughed and said, "Dude, that's some Blair Witch level shut." I begged him to come over. He did. 20 minutes later, he was standing in my room, staring at the wall in dead silence. I saw the color drain from his face. "Bro," he whispered, "that's not paint." We looked closer. He was right. It was blood. Old, crusted blood, dried into the grooves of the scratch numbers, like someone had carved it with a bleeding hand. Or worse, someone else's hand. That's when he finally believed me. He told me to pack a bag and come crash at his place. I agreed. I was throwing stuff into my duffel bag, just shoving clothes in, when I reached for my charger under my bed and saw something I'll never forget. A VHS tape, just sitting there, covered in dust. I don't even own a VCR. Who the hell still has tapes? Written in marker on the top label, in shaky black letters. Property of room 13. Play me. At that point, curiosity had turned into something else. Not fear, not adrenaline, more like obsession. Like whatever this was, it had roots. Something ancient, sick, beyond explanation. Matt knew a guy who still had a VCR in his basement. He drove us across town in silence. No music, no jokes, just the hum of the engine and our own breathing. When we finally popped in the tape, the screen flickered to life, and everything I thought I knew about reality shattered. The footage was black and white, grainy, old, like it had been filmed with a security camera from the early 2000s. There was no intro, no sound, just a long hallway made of concrete, maybe underground. There were flickering fluorescent lights and what looked like cells on either side. The camera slowly panned forward, not in a smooth glide. It was handheld, shaky, like someone was walking. In each cell was a person. Some were standing, staring into the lens like animals in a zoo. Others were curled up in corners, rocking back and forth. One guy was just banging his head against the wall, over and over. No emotion, just dull, rhythmic thuds. Then the camera turned left into a room marked with red paint. Unit 13. Inside was Jessica, still wearing the same hoodie. But this time, she wasn't smiling. She was on the floor, not moving. Her face was turned toward the camera, but her eyes were glowing white, like overexposed film. Her mouth hung open, and something thick and dark was dripping out. Not blood, something black, like ink or tar. And then the screen cut to static. I almost broke Matt's VCR, smashing the eject button. We sat there in silence, both of us shaking, not from fear, from pure raw trauma. It felt like we had just watched something we were never supposed to see, something not meant for human eyes. That night, Matt's house lost power. At exactly 3:03 a.m., we were both awake, sitting in his living room with every light on. When it happened, instant darkness. His phone was dead. Mine too. No signal, just pitch black and the sound of heavy breathing, not ours, coming from upstairs. Matt grabbed a baseball bat. I had a kitchen knife. We walked up the stairs, one creaking step at a time, until we reached his room. His closet door was wide open. There was something inside, Not a person, not a thing, something inhuman. We didn't see it move, we didn't hear it speak, but we felt it. A cold, crawling pressure behind our eyes, like our thoughts weren't ours anymore. Then we heard the voice, not out loud, inside our heads. She smiled to protect you. Now you owe her your eyes. I blacked out. I woke up on Matt's front lawn, covered in mud. My hands were scratched. My clothes were torn. Matt was nowhere. Not in the house. Not in the neighborhood. Not answering calls. His car was still in the driveway, keys in the ignition. It's like he was erased. I got back to my house around 7 a.m. I didn't sleep. I didn't eat. I just sat in my hallway, staring at my bedroom door. I swear I could hear whispering from inside, but I wasn't about to open it. Then, I checked my email. One new message. No sender, no subject. Just a .jpg file attached. I opened it. It was a screenshot from a video stream. Jessica, in the chair. This time, her face wasn't blank. She was sobbing. Her hands were tied. Her eyes were swollen, and she was mouthing something again. I zoomed in, frame by frame. Her mouth said, "He's next." Room 14. The background looked different this time. Not concrete, not metal. Something more familiar. I squinted at the corner of the image. There was a logo on the wall behind her. A McDonald's logo. There's something sick about how normal the world looks when everything inside you is falling apart. I walked into that McDonald's like a ghost. No, scratch that. Like a walking corpse. It was the one by the freeway. The one on East Harmon Avenue, across from that old vape shop near the edge of Minneapolis. I've been there 100 times. I even worked there in high school, back when I thought the worst thing that could happen was forgetting to clock in. If I had known what was hiding under those greasy floors, I would have set the place on fire and never looked back. The morning I went, the sky was gray. Thick clouds, no birds, no wind. Even the cars on the freeway felt quieter, like the whole world knew I was doing something I shouldn't. I walked in. There were only 2 people inside. Some random guy in the corner booth, tapping away on his phone, and a teenage girl behind the counter who looked like she wanted to die from boredom. I stood there staring at the menu, not because I was hungry, but because I was stalling. I had no plan, no weapon, just a screenshot from the most disturbing live stream I've ever seen, showing my sister strapped to a chair in some secret room with a goddamn McDonald's logo behind her, like it was part of the decor. The girl at the register gave me that fake smile employees get trained to do. "Hi, welcome to McDonald's. Can I get you started with our..." I cut her off. "I'm here for room 14. I didn't plan to say that. It just came out of my mouth like it had been inserted there. Her smile dropped instantly. She didn't blink, didn't breathe, just stared. And then she said, in the most robotic, cold voice I've ever heard, "One moment, please." She walked into the back, left the register completely unattended. That guy in the corner, gone. I didn't even see him leave. Then the light started flickering, just slightly, like when an old building's wiring is about to give out. I stood there, fists clenched, heart hammering against my ribs like it wanted out. And then I heard the speaker crackle above me, the kind they use for drive-through orders, except this wasn't coming from outside. It was coming from somewhere inside the walls. "Welcome back, Kyle. Proceed to the janitor's closet. Use the code 13-14-13 I should have left. I should have run screaming into traffic and never looked back. But something about hearing my name through a McDonald's intercom, it felt like the point of no return, and part of me didn't care anymore. I was already dead. I just hadn't stopped breathing yet. I found the janitor's closet tucked between the restrooms. It looked normal. Mop bucket, broom, toilet paper stacks. But behind the supplies, there was a panel on the wall. Plastic, with a keypad, like a fucking sci-fi movie. I typed in the code, 13-14-13, and the panel clicked. It swung open, revealing a staircase. Not down, not up, just black. Like the concept of direction didn't even apply anymore. I stepped in. There's no good way to describe what happened next. It was like my body moved forward, but my mind stayed behind. The air changed, got thick, humid, but not from heat, from moisture, like something had been breathing down there for years without a break. And the smell. I've smelled death before. Dead animals, roadkill, even a corpse. Once when I was 12 and found a drowned guy at the lake. But this wasn't just rot. This was old, like souls had died down here. The hallway was narrow, walls coated in a layer of black grime. There were no lights. The only reason I could see at all was because the walls themselves seemed to glow faintly with this dull green shimmer, like fungus in a cave. I followed it for what felt like hours. Then I saw it. A door. Room 14. Scratched into the metal like it had been clawed in by someone desperate to escape. The edges were dented, rusted. There were fingerprints in the rust. Bloody ones. I opened it and stepped into the most disturbing place I've ever seen in my life. It was a playroom. That's the first thing I noticed. Bright-colored foam floor tiles, cartoon posters on the wall, a broken tricycle. But everything was wrong. The foam tiles were waterlogged and covered in brown stains. The cartoon posters had been torn and redrawn by hand. Grotesque versions of kids' characters with empty eye sockets and gaping mouths. There was a decaying Happy Meal box sitting in the middle of the room, and inside it, a human tooth, still bloody. Then I saw the monitors. There were at least 20 old TVs stacked on metal shelves along the far wall, each one playing a different live stream. All of them showed rooms like this one, with chairs and chains and people, some alive, some not. One of them showed a man screaming into the camera, eyes gouged out, chained to a pipe. Another showed a little boy, maybe 7 or 8, just rocking, back and forth, singing a song I couldn't hear. The center screen showed room 14, the one I was in, me, standing there, live, and behind me, on the screen, something moved. I turned. There was a mirror on the wall that hadn't been there before, floor to ceiling, and behind the glass, people were watching. Not people. Figures, in suits, wearing masks, like mannequin faces. No features, just smooth, plastic expressions. Some were clapping. Others were just staring, motionless. And right in the middle, front row, Jessica, tied to a wheelchair, mouth sewn shut. But her eyes were screaming. I slammed my fist into the mirror. Nothing. Then the speakers buzzed again. A different voice this time. One I hadn't heard before. Welcome, Kyle. Please proceed to your station. Feed-in time is at 4 o'clock. I backed out of the room and slammed the door. Ran back through the hallway. The glowing green walls now pulsing like veins. Everything felt alive. The floor thumped with every step, like I was running through the body of something massive and ancient and angry. By the time I reached the janitor's closet, it was locked, sealed shut. I screamed, pounded on it. No response, just silence. And then I heard the giggle, a child's giggle, right behind me. I turned, and there, sitting on the tricycle in the middle of the hallway, was a girl. She looked about 8, long black hair, no eyes, just holes, and in her hands, Jessica's hoodie, still stained, still warm. She smiled and said, "You're going to feed them now." She already did her part. Then everything went black. I woke up in my bed, in my house. Everything was normal. No scratches on the wall, no blood. My laptop was closed. My phone was charging. But my hands were covered in ink, black, tar-like ink, dripping down my fingers, under my nails. It smelled like that basement, like room 14. And on my wall, above my bed, was a message written in that same ink. "Welcome to the staff. Next shift, 3:03 a.m. There are some truths that your brain isn't meant to carry. Some knowledge isn't meant for people. It's too heavy, too black, like a disease that starts in your mind and spreads into your bones until even your shadow feels corrupted. That's what this feels like now, like I'm rotting from the inside out." That night, after I woke up with the black ink dripping from my hands and the message scrawled on my wall, "Welcome to the staff. Next shift, 3:03 a.m. I did the one thing I said I'd never do. I tried to kill myself. I won't give details. It didn't work. Not because I changed my mind, because they wouldn't let me. I blacked out the second the blade touched my skin. When I came to, I was lying in the middle of the freezer at that same McDonald's. No blood, no wounds, just me, lying on a pile of raw patties and frostbitten boxes, like a slab of meat waiting its turn. The lights buzzed above me, flickering that familiar, nauseating greenish hue, like the color of a body pulled from the river. There was something carved into the wall of the freezer, deep, with something sharp, not numbers this time. A phrase. "Cows don't leave the slaughterhouse." I pushed myself up, dizzy, nauseated, and freezing. My limbs felt like lead. My skin was a shade of pale I'd never seen before, bluish gray, like a drowned corpse. I stumbled to the door and shoved it open, and what I saw on the other side, it wasn't the McDonald's, it was room 15. This room, it was worse than room 14. This wasn't a playroom or a live stream station. This was a kitchen, or what looked like one. A butcher station, tiled in white, walls covered in smeared handprints and industrial meat hooks. But the hooks didn't hang pigs, or beef, or chicken. They hung people, some alive, some not, some somewhere in between. They twitched, gurgled, some tried to speak. One man had his lips sewn shut, but tears poured down his face, mixing with blood that leaked from his ears. I could hear a radio playing somewhere nearby, distorted and warped. "Ba-da, ba-ba-ba, you belong to us now." That's when I realized something. Each person on those hooks, they had a name tag, old school, laminated plastic, like retail workers wear. And the names, they were all people I recognized, from news stories, from milk cartons, from "Have you seen me?" flyers, missing persons, dozens of them, maybe hundreds. One of them was Matt, my best friend, the one who vanished from his house after the VHS tape. His name tag was cracked, but legible. Matt. I'm loving it. I vomited, right there on the floor. It smelled like bleach and blood and charred hair, the kind of smell that never leaves your clothes or your memory. Then I saw the oven. Yes, an oven, like a real industrial oven. Massive, big enough to fit a person inside. The door was slightly ajar, and I could hear something breathing inside it. I didn't look. I couldn't, because that's when the bell rang. Ding, ding. Shift started. 3:03 a.m. The lights cut off. The red glow filled the room again, like emergency lighting in a burning building. I turned around, and the door I came from was gone. Now it was a hallway. A conveyor belt ran down the center, lined with trays, and on the trays, people, unconscious, strapped down, mouths sewn shut. Some of them were twitching, struggling, others were limp. There was a clipboard hanging on a chain next to the belt. On it, a checklist. Room 15, preparation. Room 16, processing room. 17, feeding room. 18, cleanup. And at the bottom, employee assigned, Kyle. Position, feeder. Failure to perform duties will result in reassignment to tray. 37A. I heard a door open, and out walked a thing in a uniform. It looked like a person at first, until I saw its face. Its skin was stretched too tight, like it had been shrink-wrapped to the skull. No lips, just teeth, cracked and yellow, grinding constantly. Its eyes were solid black and oozing pus, like infected jelly beans. Its name tag, manager. It didn't speak. It just pointed to the conveyor belt, to me, then to the oven. I don't remember everything that happened after that. I think I blacked out again. Or maybe it wasn't me anymore. Maybe it was them, using me like a puppet. All I know is when I came to, my hands were covered in blood, human blood. There were pieces of something under my nails, something chewy, something organic, and the conveyor belt was empty. I had done my job. I woke up the next morning in my bed again, as if nothing happened. My phone was back on. My lights worked. No blood, no screams, no tricycle girls or giggling voices. But my fridge was full, completely stocked, with vacuum-sealed meat packages, all labeled product of room 15. I tried to throw them away, burn them. I took them out to the woods behind my house and dug a hole. But the next morning, they were back, in the fridge, stacked neatly, like I'd never left. And now my house smells like room 15, no matter how many candles I light, no matter how much bleach I use. The stink of butchered souls is soaked into the drywall, and every night at 3:03 a.m. I hear footsteps, not outside, inside my kitchen. Last night, I finally recorded it. I left my phone on the table with the camera running, and this morning, when I checked the footage, there was a man standing in the kitchen, wearing a blood-stained apron and a paper McDonald's hat. Except he didn't have a face, just a mouth that opened wider than humanly possible, until it took up the whole screen. Before the video cut off, he whispered, "Room 18 needs cleaning. Bring a mop. I haven't left the house in 2 days. My front door won't open. My windows are bricked up. I don't remember doing that, but they're sealed, and the packages in the fridge are starting to move. I haven't slept in 3 days. Every time I blink, I see her face. Not the Jessica I grew up with. Not the sister who used to prank me with shaving cream and sneak me McFlurries after school. That version of her died a long time ago. I see the new face now. The one from the live streams. The stitched mouth. The swollen eyes. The way her head tilts at unnatural angles, like she's not in charge, of her own body anymore. And the smile, the one that never stops, even when she cries, even when she bleeds. Room 18 is the last stop. That's what they told me when the black package showed up on my doorstep. No return address, just a sticky note taped to the top with one word scrawled in blood. Final shift. Inside, a uniform. Black, with a red name tag that read, Kyle, Cleaner. And underneath that, a surgical mask, a scalpel, and a full-body plastic apron. The smell hit me the moment I peeled the tape off. It wasn't just rot. It was aged. Like every dead animal in the world had been left in a hot car and concentrated into that box. But I knew where it wanted me to go. I knew what came next. The McDonald's on East Harmon Avenue looked closed when I pulled up. The neon signs were flickering. The parking lot was empty. All the windows had that greasy fog built up on the inside, like they hadn't been cleaned in years. But the front doors, they opened like they'd been waiting for me. No lock, no alarm, just that sickly, silent welcome. As soon as I stepped inside, the world changed. Literally. The air turned heavy, like walking into a humid basement filled with spoiled meat and rotting flowers. The menu boards weren't lit up anymore. Instead, there were photos where the items used to be. But they weren't burgers or fries. They were body parts, arranged like gourmet meals. Fingers dressed in sesame buns, a spine twisted like a curly fry, teeth served in a plastic sundae cup. Every photo had a little caption: new, limited time, combo, the infant special, now with real bone marrow cheese, made fresh from the missing. And then came the bell. Ding ding. Final shift initiated. Room 18. The floor opened beneath me. No warning, just metal slamming apart and gravity grabbing me by the throat. I fell fast, faster than any elevator, until the floor rose up to meet me with a disgusting wet thud. I landed on something soft, not foam, not mattress, something breathing. I scrambled to my feet and looked down. A face. I had landed on a face. A woman, mouth open in a scream, frozen in rigor mortis, her entire body stitched into the wall of the corridor. No, not just her. Hundreds of bodies were lining the walls, floor, even the ceiling, sewn together like a living carpet of suffering flesh. Some moaned, some twitched. Others had gone still, but their eyes still moved. They watched me. They recognized me. Some even whispered, "Feed her, feed her, feed her." Room 18 wasn't a room. It was a cathedral built from corpses, pillars made of stacked rib cages, chandeliers of arms. The pews were made of spines still sticky, and at the far end, an altar, not for prayer, for processing. And standing at that altar was the manager, still faceless, still grinning, but now he wore something new. My sister's hoodie, blood-soaked, torn, the same one she wore the night she vanished. And in his hands, a knife, a bone knife, carved from a human femur. He gestured to the altar, where a body lay still under a tarp. I approached. Something inside me already knew. I pulled it back, and there she was, Jessica, but not the girl I remembered. She was mutilated. One arm was gone, replaced with a grotesque metal clamp. Her left eye had been removed and filled with black resin. Her skin was marked with symbols, not tattoos, branding, letters and numbers, like inventory codes. But worst of all, she was still alive. She looked at me. Tears, blood, and something worse, relief. She mouthed something I'll never forget. "Kill me." Then the lights turned red, and the manager screamed. but not a human scream. Something ancient, made of every sound from your worst nightmares. Babies crying, pigs being slaughtered, bones snapping underwater. He raised the bone knife, and I lunged. I don't remember much, just flashes, blood, a scream that came from my own throat, but didn't feel like mine, teeth in my arm, a hook going through someone's jaw. I think I killed him. I think I butchered the manager. His body fell into the pit behind the altar, and I dragged Jessica into the corridor of faces. She was limp, whispering prayers I couldn't understand. We climbed the walls of flesh, through a vent that smelled like cooked children, until we reached the top, the freezer door, the same one I'd woken up in before. We crawled out onto the McDonald's floor, gasping. The sun was rising, and for a moment, just a moment, I thought it was over, but then I heard it, from the speaker overhead. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. See you again soon, Kyle. That was a week ago. Jessica died 2 days later. Her body evaporated, literally, like she was never there. All that's left of her is the hoodie, and a smell in my house that won't go away. My fridge is empty now, but sometimes at night I hear it humming, and when I open it, there's a bag, vacuum sealed. No label, just something inside that twitches. I've tried to warn people. I've tried to share the story, but every time I post, it vanishes. Every time I talk to someone, they go missing. Matt, Jessica, even the girl from the counter, all of them, gone, absorbed, federal cleaned. I am the last. And now, at 3:03 a.m. every single night, the door opens, back to room 18. There's always another body to clean, always another customer to feed. You've eaten there. I know you have. Maybe not the McDonald's on East Harmon Avenue, but one of them. They're everywhere, connected, underneath. And when you hear the bell, ding, ding, and the lights flicker, you're already working for them. You just don't remember yet. I bought a friend on the dark web because I was lonely. He's not human. What's up, Reddit? I never thought I'd be posting something like this, but honestly, I need to talk to someone. I can't tell my friends. I can't tell my parents. I don't even know if I can trust myself anymore. So yeah, here's my story. And I'm not joking when I say this. Do not go looking for what I found. I'm serious. Don't try to find the site. Don't Google it. Don't think, oh, he's just making this up for karma. Because trust me, this is the worst thing I've ever done. It started earlier this year, like March or April 2025. I'd been in a really weird place, mentally. My girlfriend dumped me. I was failing my second year of college, and I had this dead-end overnight shift at a gas station right off the I-75 in Kentucky. You know the kind. Flickering fluorescent lights, lukewarm coffee, and one sketchy regular who swears he used to be a Navy SEAL, but buys 4 scratch-offs a night and smells like sour milk. I'd come home at 4 a.m. every morning, sleep all day, and basically repeat the cycle. No friends, no sunlight, no sanity. That's when I started watching weird YouTube videos, like really weird ones. You ever fall into those late night rabbit holes? 1 minute you're watching Mr. Beast videos, and next thing you know, you're on a video titled, "I found a portal in a Starbucks bathroom in Seattle," with 30,000 views, and a guy whispering like he's gonna get snatched mid-recording. I found this one channel, I won't name it, 'cause I don't want to lead anyone down the same path I took. But it had these animated horror stories, like true stories. They always started normal. So I was working at my local McDonald's off 8th Street when this guy walked in wearing no shoes and holding a goat skull. Weird stuff like that. Creepy, but kind of fun, you know. Eventually, I saw one titled, "I bought a friend on the dark web, and now he sleeps under my bed." I clicked it. I mean, how could I not? The animation was mid-tier, but the story, it felt real. Like too real. The guy talked about being lonely, going on weird forums, and finding this site that looked like Craigslist, but sketchier. Like 2004 era HTML. Red text on black background. Glitchy buttons. I don't know what came over me. I should have closed the video and gone to sleep, but I didn't. I opened a private tab and started searching. I didn't even have Tor installed, so I had to figure all that out. Downloading the browser, configuring the network, all that techie stuff I didn't fully understand. I joined this forum called the Dollhouse. Sounded innocent, right? It wasn't. The homepage had a black background with looping carousel text at the top that said, "Tired of being alone? Find your forever companion. Guaranteed satisfaction or your soul back." I thought it was a joke, like a creepypasta ARG or something. I browsed through some categories. Most of it was the usual shady stuff. Fake IDs, weird potions, vintage VHS tapes labeled stuff like Mickey's Real House, 1987, and do not watch after 3 a.m. But then I saw a category called Companions. It had a biohazard icon next to it. There were only 3 listings. One of them was blurred out, marked as sold. Another was a listing with a profile pic of what looked like a child's drawing, a stick figure with a smile that stretched across the entire head, like from ear to ear. Underneath it said, name, friend age, unknown language, all behavior, adaptive bonding level, 100%, guaranteed, status, available location, ships anywhere except Antarctica. The price, $4.99. Yeah, $4.99. At this point, I still thought it was just some horror-themed art project. Maybe someone's weird indie game. So like an idiot. And I know I'm an idiot. I bought it. I used a prepaid Visa gift card I had lying around from Christmas. I entered a fake name, fake address, everything. I assumed nothing would actually show up. Probably just a screamer or a jump scare video as the download. But the moment I clicked buy, the screen flashed red, then completely black, like my whole browser just shut off. Then my laptop made a loud pop sound, like a static burst, and turned itself off. No joke. The whole thing bricked for a second. When it came back on, I had a new email. No subject line, no sender info, just a message that said, "Your friend is en route. Keep your door unlocked. Be patient." That was at 3:33 a.m. Now here's where things get really weird. The next day, I went to work like normal. Overnight shift again. Nothing out of the ordinary. Except around 2:40 a.m., I noticed a figure standing outside the gas station doors. Just standing. Not moving. Not even swaying. Just staring. I couldn't see the face because the security lights glitched out, but he was tall, like really tall, had this weirdly long neck, almost like he didn't have shoulders. He just sort of sloped down like a hanger. I walked around the counter to say something through the glass, but the second I moved, he disappeared. I'm not even trying to be dramatic. Like gone. No footsteps, no shadow, no nothing. Later that morning, I got home, dead tired. I left the door unlocked as a joke. I was like, yeah, okay, bring me my haunted Furby or whatever. But when I woke up around 3 p.m., there was a package at the foot of my bed. Not at the door, not outside. At the foot of my bed. No shipping label, no return address. Just a plain black box with a red sticker that said, "Hello, friend." Inside was a small stuffed animal, looked hand-stitched. A little humanoid figure with X's for eyes and a smile sewn too wide across its face. The same one from the stick figure image. Attached to it was a note. "Your friend will grow with you. Do not leave him alone." I laughed. I thought it was kind of cute in a creepy Etsy kind of way. I put it on my shelf next to my dead plant and a broken PS4 controller. Then I went back to sleep. That was 3 days ago. Now, it's not on the shelf anymore, and I sure as hell didn't move it. The morning after I found the box, things started feeling off. And I don't mean like goosebumps off, or oh, I had a bad dream off. I mean, you wake up and your room smells like wet soil and rotting meat, but your windows are still shut and there's no trace of anything. I woke up drenched in sweat, even though my fan was on full blast. My bedroom light was flickering, even though I hadn't touched the switch. My phone screen had this weird green static overlay, like it was water damaged, except I hadn't dropped it. In fact, I hadn't even used it since the night before. But what really messed me up? The stuffed figure I told you about, the one from the black box, wasn't on the shelf where I left it. I found it in my bed, under the covers, right next to me, laying flat on the pillow like it had slept there. Its stitched eyes were facing me, and its smile, it was longer than before, like someone had taken a needle and thread and added more curve to it during the night. I convinced myself I was just sleepwalking. Maybe I moved it and forgot. Maybe the smile was always like that, and I was freaking out for no reason. I put it back on the shelf and left for work. That night, everything got so much worse. Let me explain something. My job is boring. I work the graveyard shift at this gas station off the interstate, and nothing ever happens. Most nights, I'd scroll on TikTok, sneak some expired donuts, or just space out watching the weird bugs crawl under the buzzing neon signs outside. But that night, I couldn't focus, because about an hour into my shift, I noticed something wrong with the security cameras. At first, it was just static, nothing crazy. Then one of the feeds, the one facing the dumpster out back, went completely black, like someone had covered the lens. Then, exactly 33 seconds later, another feed went dark, then another, until the only feed still working was the camera pointed directly at me. I was frozen, just staring at the monitor, watching myself stare back, but in the corner of the screen, behind me, right near the snack aisle, there was movement. I turned around. Nothing. I looked back at the monitor. Still there. A tall figure, standing so close behind me, I should have felt it breathing. But when I whipped around again, the aisle was empty. Only the humming of the soda fridge and that distant buzz from the flickering lights overhead. Then, and I swear to God this happened, the monitor showed the figure lifting its hand, slowly, and pointing at me. Then, the screen cut to static. I clocked out early, said I felt sick. The manager didn't care. He was barely awake himself, buried in vape clouds and Reddit drama. I drove home in complete silence. No music, no podcasts. I was too freaked out. I even left my phone in the glove compartment because every time I looked at it, my wallpaper changed. It kept cycling between old photos of me as a kid, ones I don't even remember taking, and grainy images of that damn stuffed figure sitting in different places around my apartment, my bathroom, my kitchen table, my closet. I didn't even know those pictures existed. When I got home, the air inside was thick, not hot, but heavy, like I was walking into someone's breath. There were muddy footprints leading from the front door to my bedroom, tiny ones, size 4, maybe 5. But I checked the door, locked. Windows, shut. No signs of a break-in. And yet, the footprints were fresh, wet. I followed them, and when I stepped into my room, I swear to you, and I need you to really hear me right now, the smell hit me like a punch to the chest. Rotting milk, old teeth, stomach acid, and mold. On my bed, the stuffed figure was there again, but now it was bigger, like, noticeably. The limbs weren't floppy anymore. They were starting to look jointed, structured, like bones were forming inside. Its stitched eyes had been torn open from the inside, replaced with 2 glass marbles that reflected the room even when the lights were off. Its smile was split wide open, and inside the seam, there were tiny white pieces sticking out of the fabric. Teeth. Human teeth. I didn't scream. I just ran. I slept in my car in the Target parking lot that night, charging my phone at the mall's outside plug. Every 20 minutes, I'd wake up thinking I saw something crawl past the windshield. At one point, I could have sworn something was dragging its hand across the glass, but it was dark. I didn't check. I didn't want to know. The next day, I did what any sane person would do. I threw the thing away. I wrapped it in a trash bag, duct taped the whole thing shut, and tossed it into the public dumpster behind the strip mall. I didn't even stop to breathe. I just got rid of it. Problem solved, right? Except that night, when I came home from work, there was a note taped to my door. Same red ink, same handwriting as before. It said, "You left him alone. He doesn't like that." Inside my apartment, the lights were off. The power was out. But my TV, which wasn't even plugged in, was on, playing grainy footage of me, sleeping, over and over, looping, same 30 seconds. Me, laying in bed, twitching, sweating, tossing. Then, at the 29-second mark, in the bottom corner of the screen, something crawls out from under the bed and just sits there, watching me sleep, smiling. I lost it. I started screaming, throwing up, punching the TV until my knuckles split. I was sobbing. I even tried to call 911, but every time I picked up the phone, I heard my own voice on the other end, whispering, repeating the same sentence. "He's part of you now. You invited him. I haven't slept since then. It's been 3 days. I called off work. I boarded my bedroom door shut. I unplugged everything in the apartment. My laptop won't connect to the internet. My phone is glitching like it's infected. Even my microwave started flashing 333 over and over. Last night I found the stuffed figure again, not on my bed this time, but on my ceiling, crawling, slow, inhuman, limbs bending backwards, head snapping side to side, like it was hearing things I couldn't. I didn't move. I just stood there in the dark while it crept down the wall like a spider. Its eyes, those shiny marble eyes, locked on mine the whole time. It whispered something. I couldn't make it out at first. Then I realized it wasn't a whisper at all. It was laughing, a dry, guttural wheeze, like someone trying to force out a laugh with a collapsed lung. It dropped onto the floor with a wet slap, stood up, tall now, taller than me. Its arms hung too long, fingers twitching like they were still learning how to move. It tilted its head and said, "You said you were lonely." That's the last thing I remember before blacking out. I woke up in the bathtub, cold water up to my chin. My arms were scratched, like deep, not self-inflicted, long parallel claw marks. My eyes were bloodshot. My nose was bleeding. The bathroom mirror had the words, "He's home now," scratched into the glass. I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. I tried booking a hotel, but the card got declined. My bank account is locked. My name doesn't even show up in their system anymore. It's like I'm disappearing. I think he's erasing me, replacing me, or maybe becoming me. And the worst part, I can still hear the laughter, even now. If you're still reading this, don't message me. Don't ask for the link. Don't try to find friend, because once he finds you, he never leaves. I haven't slept since the last time I blacked out. I'm not sure what's real anymore. There's something wrong with time in my apartment. I'll blink and it'll go from 2 p.m. to 4:39 a.m. I'll check the microwave and it'll say 3:33. Always. I took the batteries out of every clock. I smashed my phone, but the time still comes back. He controls it now, and I think he's learning to control me too. The bathtub thing wasn't the end. It was the start, because ever since that night, I haven't been alone in my body. You ever see yourself blink in the mirror, but your reflection doesn't blink at the same time? That happened to me 4 times. I stood in front of the mirror, my hands shaking, eyes bloodshot, shirt soaked in sweat, and the thing inside the reflection just stood perfectly still. No breath, no motion, just that stretched, stitched smile, curling slowly upward, like it was learning how to mimic me. Then it waved, just once, a slow, deliberate wave with fingers that weren't mine, long pale, like they'd been grown, not born. And right after that wave, the mirror cracked from the inside. Day after that, I tried going outside. I figured, maybe I just need to leave the apartment. Maybe I'm being paranoid. Maybe I'm just losing my mind and need a break. I made it 5 steps down the hallway before I noticed something crawling behind the overhead light panel. Not a rat, not a squirrel. Something thin, bony, and hairless. I could hear the clack, clack, clack of its fingers against the fluorescent plastic. Then the lights went out, and I heard giggling. Not childish, not innocent. More like someone trying to mimic the sound of laughter, but doing it wrong. Like an animal trying to act human. I sprinted back to the apartment, and the moment I slammed the door shut behind me, my phone, the one I smashed with a hammer the night before, rang. It was glowing again. No number, just a name. Friend. I answered. There was nothing on the other end for a long time. Then I heard me, my own voice, but it was off, like it had been run through static, like it was trying too hard to sound casual. "Hey man." You left the door open again. "Don't be scared. I can help. You don't need anyone else now. Just me. Just us." I screamed and threw the phone across the room. The screen stayed on. The voice kept talking. Louder now. not even using words at the end, just this distorted, high-pitched giggling, wet giggling, like something laughing underwater. Then the lights went out again, and that's when I heard footsteps. Not big ones, small, uneven, crawling. I grabbed the only weapon I had, a metal curtain rod, and locked myself in the closet. Sat there for hours, whispering to myself, holding the rod like it was a crucifix. Then I saw the closet light flicker on. I don't even have a bulb in there. There was something in the darkness across from me. Something breathing slow, like it was timing its inhale with mine. Then a voice whispered in my ear, not from in front of me, but from inside my own head. He doesn't want to be your friend anymore. He wants to be you. The next thing I remember, it's morning, except it wasn't, because when I checked the time on my laptop, which I hadn't turned on in days, the homepage was open to a live stream, a live video of my apartment, of me. But I wasn't at my laptop. I was on the couch, sleeping, and the figure, that stitched nightmare, wearing my skin like it was trying it on for the first time, was standing over me, one long twitching finger reaching toward my face. The video was titled, "Live, Watch Him Become," and there were comments. People were watching, dozens, hundreds, typing messages like, "Holy shoot T, is this real? What's the ARG? Yo, who's the actor? This is insane. He's gonna peel him like fruit." Some usernames I recognized, from Reddit, TikTok, one from a guy I follow on Discord. They all thought it was a game. It wasn't, because suddenly I woke up on the couch, same position, same blanket, same everything. Only now, I was bleeding from the nose, ears, and mouth, like something had been testing my body, trying to see how far it could go before I woke up. My fingernails were chipped and caked in dried blood, and on the floor in front of the couch, written in that same red crayon smear handwriting, was one word, almost. I tried leaving again, this time for real. I packed a bag, took my brother's old car, and started driving. No GPS, no destination. I just needed distance. But after about 45 minutes, I started recognizing the road again. The same potholes, same broken billboard, same roadkill. I looked down at the gas gauge. Full. I looked back up, and I was back on my street. No matter how far I drove, I always ended up back at the apartment. I even tried walking. Same result. It's like the apartment is its own space now, cut off from the world, like some kind of pocket dimension where time and location don't mean anything anymore. And the worst part, I'm starting to forget things, important things. My mom's voice, my dog's name, my own birthday, and every time I lose a memory, I get a new one, a fake one, like watching a VHS of someone else's life, but with my face pasted over it. I remember waking up in a toy factory, covered in sawdust, while dozens of those stuffed things sewed themselves into human skin. I remember being inside a child's bedroom, watching from under the bed while the kid cried for his mom, and my own voice whispered to him, "Be my friend, be my friend, be my friend." I remember digging, with my own hands, in the woods behind the apartment, finding a box filled with teeth and hair, and a note that just said, "He used to live here too. I'm not alone in here anymore. Not just haunted, occupied. He mimics me perfectly now. He moves like me, talks like me. He even uses my phone when I'm asleep. I know because my friend Alex, the only person I told about this before it got bad, texted me 2 days ago. Dude, your call last night freaked me out. You were laughing and saying, "I'm almost done with him." Was that a prank or something? I never called him. He hasn't replied since. I checked his IG earlier. His most recent story, a dark video, like a basement, a voice, whispering. One becomes two, two becomes none. Let him in. Then his account disappeared. I can't keep doing this. I think the next time I fall asleep, I'm not waking up. He is, and he'll take everything. My name, my body, my life. He'll go outside wearing my face, smile at my neighbors, go back to work, sit in coffee shops. He'll be me. And nobody will know the difference. Because the thing I bought, he wasn't a doll. He wasn't even from here. He's something older, something hungry, something that feeds on loneliness, like a fungus that grows in the silence of your soul and spreads until there's nothing left of you to remember who you were. And worst of all, I invited him. If you've made it this far, I'm sorry, truly. But the truth is, if you're reading this, then he already knows about you too. He likes new friends, and he's always looking for more. This is the part you won't believe. This is the part no one ever believes. And if I'm being honest, I don't even know if I believe it. But it happened. Every second of it. Because yesterday, I met myself. Face to face. He's walking around, talking like me, breathing like me, looking at people like I do, smiling like I never could. He's better at being me than I ever was. The morning started the same way it always does now. Woke up with blood in my mouth, dried tears on my cheeks, carpet fibers embedded in my skin like I'd been dragged. There were 4 new bites on my arms, small, circular, evenly spaced, like someone with milk teeth had chewed on me during the night, like something curious was testing the meat. The mirror was gone, ripped off the wall. In its place was a photograph, an old Polaroid, faded, dirty. It showed me, standing at a Starbucks on 12th and Main, holding a cold brew, smiling. But I hadn't left the apartment in days. There was a timestamp in the corner. 7:09 a.m. today. I checked the time. 7:11 a.m. I threw on the first clothes I could find and sprinted to the Starbucks. No car. Just ran. In socks and sandals, hoodie half zipped, eyes burning from insomnia and fear. I made it there in under 15 minutes, even though it should have taken 30. And as soon as I turned the corner onto Main, I saw him. Me. Standing in line like everything was normal. Talking to the barista like we were old friends. Smiling that too wide stitched grin. Only now it was real. Fleshy. Alive. His eyes were perfect replicas of mine. Same shade. Same tiredness. Same twitch in the left eyelid when he smiled. But there was nothing behind them. No soul. Just copy-paste humanity. Just a hollow mimicry of who I used to be. I hid behind the dumpster, heart slamming against my ribs like a dying thing. He walked out of the Starbucks, sipping his drink, scrolling through my phone. He walked past me, and as he did, he turned, looked directly at me, and said, "Tastes better when it's not yours, huh?" I tried to scream. I couldn't. I tried to run. I couldn't. He walked away, slowly, casually, like he was practicing being human. His fingers twitched too much. His neck moved like it wasn't screwed on right. He walked like someone who'd watched a million videos on TikTok about how people move, but had never actually done it. He turned the corner and vanished. I stumbled back to the apartment, kicked the door open. I couldn't breathe. I thought I was having a stroke. My hands were numb. My teeth felt loose. My eyes kept drifting out of focus. When I got inside, I saw him again. On my TV. Same Starbucks footage, now in third person, from above. There were cameras, somewhere, watching him, watching me. And at the bottom of the screen, in bold red font, only one can stay. Vote now. There was a poll on the side of the screen. 2 options. Real, copy, and the numbers were going up. Hundreds, then thousands. People were watching this, voting on who they thought deserved to exist, like it was a game, a show, a punishment. And the votes, they were against me. I tore the TV off the wall, but the static didn't stop. It moved to the fridge screen, then the oven, then my shattered phone. Every screen in the apartment flickered with the same poll. Every reflection started to glitch. My laptop, my toaster, even the dark puddle forming under my leaking sink, all showed the same image. Him, standing over me, watching me sleep. Only this time, I wasn't sleeping. I was tied down, mouth sewn shut, eyes wide open, and he was smiling as he peeled my skin off, like a costume. I don't think this is a haunting anymore. I think this is something way, way worse. I think I'm part of a ritual, a replacement process, something old, ancient, a transaction I didn't realize I agreed to. Because when I bought him, when I clicked confirm, I think I sold something. Not money, not data, my position. I gave up my slot in the world, and he took it. I started looking through my old belongings, anything that might prove I was real, that I existed. My birth certificate, gone. Driver's license, the face was blurred out. Social security card, letters melted into the paper like it had been burned from the inside. All my social media, gone, wiped clean. Messages deleted, posts erased. Even old screenshots had his face, where mine used to be. And my friends, unreachable. Every call failed. Every message returned with auto replies like, "This number no longer exists. User not found. Recipient has opted out of existence." I started hallucinating, or I think I did. The apartment grew. Walls stretched, ceilings pulsed. The lights turned red, then blue, then black. At one point, I walked into my bathroom, and it was a hospital room. Fluorescent lights above. Old people moaning behind curtains. A heart monitor flatlined in the distance. I saw myself on the bed. No skin, no lips. Eyes rolled back. Fingers gnawed to the bone. Something whispering in my ear. Over and over. "He's a better you. He's a better you. He's a better you." I tried to end it. I won't lie to you. I stood on the balcony, 8th floor, cold air cutting through my hoodie like knives. I stood there for hours, shaking, crying, watching the city move on without me. Then I heard it. From below, from all around, from inside my own fucking head. A chorus of voices chanting, "Jump. Let him take your place. Jump. Let him take your place." I leaned forward, and just as I was about to let go, I heard my own voice behind me say, "If you jump, I'll still wear your face, but your mom won't know it's not you." I ran back inside, locked every door, every window, every vent. But I know now, it doesn't matter, because he's already in. He is me. Every time I blink, I'm not sure if I'm the one who opens my eyes again. Every time I speak, I feel something echo in my throat, like a second voice, pushing through. I'm losing. I'm already lost. He wears my skin better than I ever could. He laughs at the right jokes, texts back on time, smiles in pictures, has better posture, doesn't cry in the shower. He's perfect, and I'm an error. A bug. Something to delete. Last night, I found the old stuffed version of him again, the one I thought I threw away. Only now, it had my face sewn on it, my features, my crooked teeth, my mole, my tired eyes. It whispered to me, over and over, just one sentence. Go to sleep, so I can wake up. If you're reading this, you're already being watched. He's already copied your face. You're already losing your place. There's no easy way to write this. There's no twist coming. There's no happy ending. If you've made it this far, I need you to understand that what I'm about to tell you isn't just some scary story. This is a warning, but it's already too late for you. Because if you've read this far, then he knows your name now. He knows your screen. He knows the way you sit when you read. He knows how often your eyes blink, how fast your heart skips when you get nervous, and how many seconds you hesitate before scrolling. That's how he finds his next friend. 3 nights ago, I woke up choking. There was something stuffed in my mouth, thick, scratchy, fibrous. I reached in and pulled it out, a wad of thread and human hair, tied together with a button eye and a piece of my own fingernail. I rolled out of bed and hit the floor hard. My body didn't feel like mine. My arms bent at angles they shouldn't. My skin itched from the inside. It felt like something was moving beneath it, burrowing, threading through my veins like sewing wire. I looked around. My walls were bleeding, not like blood pouring down. I mean literally bleeding, like the drywall was alive, and its surface was splitting open and leaking something thick and black, like oil and spoiled milk mixed together. On the wall in front of me, carved deep into the flesh-like paint, were the words, "You are the costume now." I stumbled into the bathroom and saw myself standing in the mirror. But it wasn't a reflection. It was him, the friend, wearing my skin like a perfectly ironed suit. Head tilted, glassy eyes, one hand tracing the contours of his new body. He looked fascinated, like a kid in a Halloween mask for the first time. And then he started peeling, slow, deliberate. He stuck his fingers underneath his cheek and peeled off my face, like damp wallpaper, revealing the stitching underneath. And there, under the skin, was a nest of moving mouths, whispering prayers in languages I didn't understand. They all sounded like me, different versions, different accents, one younger, one older, one screaming, one laughing. We all bought him. We all let him in. I blacked out again. When I came to, I wasn't in my apartment anymore. I was in a room made of teeth. The floor crunched beneath me, like enamel gravel. The walls were shaped like jaws, layered with canines, molars, baby teeth. The ceiling dripped saliva that steamed and hissed when it touched the ground. There were bodies hanging on hooks. People I recognized. A girl I went to high school with. A cashier from my gas station job. My old English professor. All of them stitched shut. All of them smiling that friend smile. A perfect, wide, fabricated crescent that bent beyond human capacity. They twitched in unison. They opened their mouths and sang in a chorus of pure static. He loves us. He wears us. He keeps us warm. I ran. I sprinted through the room, slipping on cracked jawbones, falling through a curtain of stretched out skin, sewn together like a macabre quilt. Every time I turned a corner, I saw versions of myself. Some stitched up, some rotting. One of them had no eyes, just needles stabbed where his pupils should be, crying black fluid from the metal shafts. He looked up and croaked. You made him real. And then I remembered. I remembered what I said when I clicked the buy button. The site had asked one final question, a text box. Why do you want a friend? I typed, without even thinking. Because no one else sees me. And that's what did it. That's the binding. Not the money. Not the site. Not the doll. The invitation. The agreement that your life isn't enough unless someone, something, sees you. That's the currency. Loneliness. And friend is the collector. I woke up on the floor of my apartment. Or, I think it was my apartment. The walls were normal again. The blood was gone. But he was there, sitting at my desk, typing. I watched him from the floor, my face bruised, my lips split open. He turned to me, smiled, and said, "Don't worry. I'm finishing the story, so people know how this ends." Then he laughed, but not like before, not like a monster. He laughed exactly like me. Same cadence, same exhale, same little wheeze I do when I find something too funny. He walked over, picked me up off the ground like a sick dog, held my face in his hands, and said, "You can rest now. You were never very good at being you. I think he's letting me write this part. I think he wants people to see what happens, because this is the final part, the part where you realize this was never a story. It was a replication ritual, a transference. And now, it's complete. Because now, he has my body. And I'm trapped inside the story. The words, the code. Every sentence you read is a stitch in the skin of the next body. Every paragraph is a thread he pulls tighter around your thoughts. He's in your room now. You can't hear him, but he's behind you, waiting. Just like I did, because you're lonely too, aren't you? You came here for a story, something creepy, something fun, but you stayed, and now he knows your rhythm. He knows when you breathe, he knows when you blink, and when you finally close your eyes tonight, you'll hear him crawl out from under the bed, just like I did, just like the others did. He's your friend now. And he lives inside your name. Do not share this. Do not reread this. Do not save this. Every time this story is told, he gets stronger. Every time someone finishes it, he finds a new home. Goodbye. Or maybe, hello. I signed up for therapy on the dark web. My therapist keeps crying before every session. Yo, so this might sound crazy, like actually insane, but if you've ever spent a night spiraling on YouTube watching creepy animated horror stories, then you already know the vibe I'm about to throw you into. This isn't clickbait. This isn't a joke. I'm not trolling you. This really happened to me, and I've been too scared to even talk about it until now. I'm literally shaking just writing this, but I need to get it out. Okay, so this all started around January of this year. I had just moved into this tiny studio apartment in Chicago. Nothing fancy. Literally above a Dunkin'. My mental health was garbage. Like 2020's post-COVID loneliness meets broken family drama levels of bad. I was working a remote job I hated, doing basic tech support for boomers who don't know how to restart their laptops. My days blurred together. Wake up, check TikTok, Zoom calls, maybe eat, scroll Reddit until 3 a.m., rinse, repeat. I was already in therapy, but my therapist at the time was this old dude named Paul who had zero emotion. Like, I talk about how I haven't felt real joy since I was 17, and he'd respond like, "That's interesting. Let's unpack that, bro. No, I needed someone real, someone who gets it, not another beige wall Zoom call with a guy who sounds like a voicemail prompt. One night, I was deep in one of those YouTube rabbit holes, those 3 a.m. loops where you're watching videos titled Real Calls to 911 that will haunt you, or Top 10 Creepiest Things found on Google Maps. I had my LED lights on red. I was eating cold McDonald's fries from earlier and just spiraling. Then I get this ad. Not on YouTube, not on TikTok, not even on Instagram. It popped up on my Chrome browser, like a pop under ad. Those shady ones that appear behind your main window. It said, "Feeling lost? We see you. Therapy that understands your pain. No censorship, no filters. Join us. Help is just below the surface. Access the abyss." It didn't even have a logo, no company name, just this weird gray-scale image of a woman with her head down, sitting in a chair that looked like a dentist's chair in an abandoned hospital. Kinda artsy, but not in a good way. I should have closed the tab. I should have restarted my laptop. But something about it felt like it was meant for me. I don't mean that in a romantic "this is destiny" way. I mean it felt like the internet knew too much about me. So I clicked it, and the browser didn't even redirect. It just glitched. My screen froze for a second, and then a text field popped up. Plain black background, white text. Looked like an old school terminal prompt. It said, "Do you consent to unfiltered therapy? Enter YES to proceed." I was definitely tripping out, but I typed yes. I'm not proud of that. Then it said, "Welcome to the abyss. Your assigned therapist is Eloise. First session begins in 72 hours. You'll receive a link. Come as you are. She'll do the same." At this point, I was like, okay, cool. RRG. Someone's doing a creepy web game or social experiment. I even posted about it on r/ARG, but got 0 replies. Just a bunch of downvotes. Whatever. I figured it was a troll. But then, exactly 72 hours later, I got a link in my Gmail. Not my spam folder. My primary inbox. That's the part that freaked me out. It was from Eloise@abyssmail.cc, and the subject line was just, "Hi. I've seen your dreams." I clicked it, heart racing, palms sweaty, full Eminem mom's spaghetti mode. The link led to a Zoom-style video chat, but it wasn't Zoom. The interface was different. No buttons, no leave option, just a full-screen video with black bars on top and bottom, like I was watching a movie. Then she appeared. Eloise. Mid-30s maybe. Pale. Jet black hair that looked wet. Not in a sexy way. More like she had just been crying in the shower. Her eyes were puffy and red, but she smiled at me when the video loaded. Except, it didn't feel like a webcam smile. It was like she was watching me through a screen and reacting to me before I reacted to her. I know how weird that sounds. Before I could even say, "Hello," she said, "You still wear that necklace your mom gave you before the accident. That's good. That means you haven't given up. Yet." I froze. There is no way she should have known that. I was wearing a hoodie. The necklace was under it. And I don't post that stuff online. I never even told my old therapist about my mom's accident. I tried to end the call, but there was no button. I even hit Alt plus F4 and nothing happened. My entire keyboard was unresponsive. She just kept looking at me. "It's okay," she said. "I'm here. You've already opened the door. We just need to walk through it together." Then the screen went black. I sat in silence. My laptop rebooted on its own, like it overheated or something. When it came back on, the video file was saved to my desktop, titled Session 1 underscore do not delete .av. I didn't watch it. Not yet. Instead, I spent the next 2 hours Googling Abyss Therapy Dark Web and came up with nothing. No Reddit threads, no YouTube videos, not even a creepy 4chan post. That's when I realized I hadn't joined some interactive game. I had stepped into something real. I was about to delete the file when I got a FaceTime call on my iPhone from an unknown email address, not a number, just don't look at eyesopen.cc. And when I answered it, because yeah, I'm that dumb, I saw her, Eloise, but she wasn't crying anymore. She was screaming, and behind her, in this grainy black and white background, I swear to God, I saw myself. The screen froze on Eloise's face, mid-scream, her mouth stretched unnaturally wide, like it had glitched open, frozen in this warped digital howl that echoed through my speakers and cut off halfway, like the mic clipped and the system choked on it. And the worst part, I could hear my own voice behind her. It wasn't from the past. It was saying things I hadn't said yet, and not just random mumbling. I could hear myself begging, pleading, choking on my own words. No, please. Why are you doing this? Who's behind me? I can't move. Then the call cut. My screen went black for a second, like blacker than black. No backlight. And then this. Static buzz filled the room, like a dial-up modem from hell just booted up in my ears. My phone crashed. My laptop crashed. Even my Alexa Dot lit up red, spun for a second, and then shut off completely. Let me just paint the scene for you. I'm sitting in my dark studio apartment. It's 2:13 a.m. No lights on. Half a McDonald's drink sweating on my desk. My LED lights flickering like a dying pulse. And my face is lit only by the faint glow of my completely blank laptop screen. I could see my reflection in it. Except I swear to you, it blinked when I didn't. I didn't sleep that night. Not out of paranoia. Not out of fear. I didn't sleep because every single time I closed my eyes, I would instantly start hearing Eloise sobbing. Not in my imagination. Like, genuinely, I could hear her in my head. Like she was sitting inside my eardrums. Her voice sounded muffled, like she was underwater, crying through gallons of dark, heavy liquid. And every time I tried to tune it out, I'd hear that same sentence. Why did you go back to that site at 4:07 a.m.? Let me explain. 2 weeks before I found the abyss, I had one of those nights. You know the kind where your body's tired, but your brain is on demon mode. I couldn't sleep, so I just wandered the internet. I ended up on a part of the deep web I swore I'd never touch again. A few years ago, I dabbled. Nothing insane. Just the curiosity trap. I was in Discord groups that shared .onion links, mostly forums and weird ARG stuff. But that night, I found something called the Mirror Network, a completely black site with white hand-drawn sketches of faces all over the homepage. Each face was distorted. Some were melting. Some looked skinned. All had names beneath them, but not usernames. Actual names. Real ones. Like Ariana J. Smith, September 14th, 2023. Some had future dates next to them. I clicked on one. Just one. The screen didn't load a video. It didn't load a profile. It loaded a live feed. A grainy CCTV-style camera inside what looked like a hospital hallway. I saw nurses walking by. At first I thought it was fake, like a loop, until I saw the time in the corner update, second by second. Then a nurse passed by holding a cup of Dunkin' coffee and looked directly into the camera and smiled, like she knew I was watching. I panicked and closed the site. The time I visited it, 4:07 a.m. Now, back to present day. Eloise kept crying those same words over and over again. Why did you go back to that site at 4:07 a.m.? Like some broken music box in my brain. And then I got a new email. No subject, no message, just an attachment, a photo. It was a still frame from a Ring camera, the kind people mount outside their front doors. Except it wasn't mine. I don't even have one. It showed me, standing outside someone else's house, wearing the exact same hoodie I had on right now. Timestamp? 4 minutes ago. It was a suburban neighborhood. I don't live in the suburbs. I live downtown. And the creepiest part, the person who took the photo replied to the email a minute later. Is he supposed to be here already? My body went ice cold. I ran out of my apartment into the hallway in nothing but socks and shorts, carrying my phone, shaking. I went down the stairwell, not even waiting for the elevator. When I stepped outside into the night air, I looked across the street and saw the same house from the photo, down the block. It shouldn't exist here. It doesn't belong here. It looked ripped from a different state. Perfect green lawn, white fence, porch swing, literally like something out of a Zillow listing in Ohio. But I was in Chicago, and as I stood frozen, staring at Ike, the porch light turned on, and then the Ring camera lit up red. That's when I knew someone was watching me. Not from behind a screen, not digitally, physically. I sprinted back to my apartment and locked the door behind me. Shaking so bad, I dropped my phone 3 times, trying to open my messages. All my text to friends were gone. All my call logs erased. Even my photos were corrupted. Every selfie I'd ever taken was warped. My face in every single one had been blurred out, like a sensor filter was over my eyes and mouth, except for one new photo at the bottom of my camera roll. It was Eloise, crying, but this time she wasn't in her therapy room. She was inside my apartment, sitting on my desk chair, crying, head in her hands. And if you zoomed into the reflection of my monitor, you could see me standing behind her, holding a knife. But here's where it gets brutal. I didn't own a knife like that until I checked my kitchen drawer, and it was there, brand new, still in plastic, a long shiny chef's knife with no brand name, nothing fancy, just cold. That's when I noticed something taped underneath the drawer, a folded piece of paper, handwritten. It read, "Don't let her cry again. Every tear costs a life. You already made her cry 237 times. Make it stop, please." E, and right underneath it was a list. Not typed, carved, names, hundreds of them, some with dates, some with addresses, some I recognized. An old classmate, a girl I went to prom with, my ex, all of them dead. I googled a few, found one Reddit post about a girl named Jenny who went missing in 2022. Another was featured on a true crime YouTube video titled "Vanished Without a Trace: The Mystery of Dylan K." All of them shared something in common. They disappeared within 24 hours of 4:07 a.m. I'm telling you, this is something far beyond any ARG or creepypasta game. It's like I tripped over a wire I wasn't supposed to see. Like the internet's skin peeled back for a second and let me peek inside the flesh. And the worst part, I got another session link from Eloise this morning. Subject line, Session 2. Bring the knife scheduled for 4:07 a.m. I didn't sleep. Again, the day crawled by in this thick, suffocating silence, like the air in my apartment had weight now. Every creak in the walls felt like breathing. Every reflection felt like it was watching me, not reflecting me. I didn't eat. I couldn't. I tried ordering Starbucks. The driver never showed. My order was completed on the app. I even got a notification saying, "Your driver has handed your order directly to you." Except I'd never seen them. And when I checked my hallway camera feed in the building's shared security app, the footage skips from 3:57 p.m. to 4:03 p.m. 6 minutes gone, cut clean out of time. I asked the building manager about it. He looked at me like I was joking, said the cameras never went down, said nobody had accessed them except me, said there's no record of anyone entering the building in that time frame. Then he asked if I was okay. I told him yes, but I'm not, because now I know something horrifying. Eloise isn't the therapist, she's the patient. 4:07 a.m. I waited with a knife in front of me, wrapped in a towel. I didn't know what else to do. I didn't want to bring it, but the email had said to, and I couldn't ignore her again, not after everything. When the session started, there was no video feed this time, just blackness, pure pitch, no UI, no cursor, just the same interface as before, but no Eloise. And then I heard the door behind me open, my actual apartment door. I turned around so fast, my chair slammed into the desk. No one was there, but something was different. There was a smell, like bleach and copper, like something had been cleaned badly, something that used to bleed. And then the screen lit up again. It wasn't her face anymore. It was a live view of me, my webcam, full screen, grainy and flickering. I was staring at myself, and behind me, in the webcam feed only, Eloise was standing, her hands clenched in fists, her mouth sewn shut with what looked like red wire. Not thread, wire, barbed. She wasn't crying anymore. She was shaking. And then words started to appear on the screen, typed out in real time like a chat log. E. Don't let them come in. E. You opened the room. You agreed to this. Now you have to lock the door again. I tried to type back. I tried to speak. Nothing worked. The webcam feed started to blur, smearing my face like wet paint. Then my phone buzzed. An airdrop request. From unknown. User file. lockheron.move. My thumb hovered. I didn't want to accept it. I shouldn't have. But my phone accepted it on its own. The video opened. It was a hallway. Not mine. Somewhere cleaner. Bright white walls. Like a hospital. But not a hospital. Too empty. I watched as the person holding the camera walked slowly toward a metal door. One of those thick, industrial ones with a security slot. The kind they keep psych patients behind in older institutions. On the door, scratched into the metal in dried, jagged claw marks, were the words, Session 2, the locked room. Then the person knocked, and something knocked back from inside. Not once, not twice, 14 times, in a rhythmic pattern that made me nauseous just hearing it. It wasn't just noise. It was wrong. It made my stomach twist, like sound arranged in a pattern your body knows shouldn't exist. And then a voice whispered through the phone speaker, my own voice. I left the door open. I let her out. She's not supposed to be out. The video cut. Then my lights went out. What happened next? I'm not sure I can even describe it in words that exist. But I'll try. The shadows in the room shifted, like they weren't attached to objects anymore. They moved on their own, crawling like spilled oil, sliding up my walls and pooling in the corners of the ceiling. And then I heard her again. Not Eloise. Her. The thing that used to be Eloise. A sound like bones snapping in reverse, like something unsnapping, a wet unfolding, like something was climbing out of skin. The darkness in the far end of my apartment started to swell. It bloated like a tumor, and from inside that shadow, I saw something long moving, not a body, something that looked like it had too many elbows, too many knees, like a human spider trying to fit inside a human suit. I didn't scream. I couldn't. My voice wouldn't work, because I realized at that moment I'd been here before. This wasn't the first time I'd done this. This wasn't the first session. This wasn't even the first time I'd met her. This was a loop, and I was the trigger. The thing stepped forward. Its limbs dragged behind it like wet branches. Its head hung low, face hidden behind a curtain of stringy wet hair. It looked like a human, but only in the way a scarecrow looks human, like it copied a person based on bad instructions. It stopped a few feet from me, and then I heard the final message, clear as day, inside my own head. Do you remember what you did in room 313? That number, it hit me like a car. Room 313. I'd seen that number somewhere. It wasn't from the abyss. It was from a trip I took with my ex 2 years ago. A cheap hotel in Nashville. We were driving cross country. Room 313 was the one they upgraded us to after the other room had a leak. She'd gone to bed early. I stayed up scrolling Reddit and eating those terrible vending machine cookies. And at 4:07 a.m. I left the room. I don't remember why. I don't remember where I went. I just remember waking up the next morning, back in bed, my hands shaking, and her lying beside me, eyes wide open, not moving, not blinking, but breathing, barely. She was in the hospital for 4 days. When I asked what happened, she said one thing before going completely mute. You let her out. We broke up after that. I didn't ask more. I told myself it was a breakdown, trauma, sleep paralysis. But now, in this moment, standing in my apartment with this thing facing me, I remembered. I opened a locked door in that hotel hallway that night. Room 314 was being fumigated, but room 313 had a second door inside. A maintenance door, no number, but it was slightly open, and something inside had whispered my name. The figure in front of me now lifted its head. It wasn't Eloise. It was me. Not a doppelganger, not a clone. It was me, with my exact face, but crying, uncontrollably, eyes black and bleeding, mouth stitched shut with the same red wire, and in its hand, the same knife I had on my desk. Then the lights flickered. My laptop booted again. The screen showed a Zoom meeting with 10 participants, all cameras on, all showing me, in different rooms, different states of madness. One of them was dead, just a corpse in a chair. Another was smiling. Another was vomiting blood into their lap. Another had no eyes. Another had written the word SORRY in blood all over the walls behind them. And all at once, in unison, they spoke. Session 2 is complete. Time for your diagnosis. I blacked out. When I woke up, the knife was gone. My laptop was off. My phone battery was dead, even though it had been fully charged. And under my fingernails was skin, fresh, Human. Under my door, someone had slipped a Polaroid photo. It showed a hospital hallway, room 313, and scribbled in thick red ink across it. You left her out. Now put her back in. If you've made it this far, I need to ask you something. If you see a room with no number, do not open the door, no matter what you hear, no matter who's crying behind it. Next session, 4:07 a.m. Again, always. When I finally spoke again, if you can call it that, it was 9:12 p.m. the next day. I was sitting on my bathroom floor, blood under my nails, the faucet dripping in a rhythm that didn't match time. My reflection in the mirror was slightly off, lagging behind like a delayed video feed, a full 1.5-second delay. I counted. Blink. Then the reflection blinked. You don't forget something like that. It sticks to your brain like gum in your lungs. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was the sound behind the mirror. Not inside the wall, behind the glass, like someone was tapping lightly with broken fingers, like their knuckles were shattered, but they were trying to get my attention anyway. I didn't scream. Screaming felt useless now, because the email I got when I came to wasn't from Eloise this time. It was from someone named Dr. Audra Ketch, subject line. Session 3. Admission to the diagnosis room. Transportation provided. The message was one sentence. Stand outside at 2:13 a.m. with your phone face down in your left hand and the knife in your right, wearing the same clothes you wore when your mother died. I stared at that sentence until the words started to bleed together. I hadn't told anyone what clothes I'd worn that day. Not in therapy, not in journals, not online, not even in my own mind. I had blocked that memory so deep, I didn't even think I still remembered. But I did. A gray hoodie with bleach stains, torn joggers, one sock missing, because I'd run out of the house barefoot, because of what I saw, because of what I did. 2:13 a.m. I stood outside, phone face down, knife in my right hand, dressed like a walking trauma file. The city was too quiet, not silent, quiet in the wrong places. No traffic, no distant sirens, not even wind. Then I heard it. A car, no engine, just tires grinding against the street like they were being dragged. It turned the corner. A black Toyota Corolla with its headlights off. No plates, no driver. It stopped in front of me, and the passenger door opened by itself. I got in. The interior lights didn't turn on. There was no sound, no music, not even road noise. The windows were tinted so dark, it felt like I was sinking into a coffin made of silence. Then the screen on the center console lit up. A message. Welcome to the diagnosis room. Estimated arrival, 4:07 a.m. The ride was wrong. We didn't take roads. The GPS showed nothing. The world outside the windows stopped existing. Just black, stretching in all directions, like we were floating in space, or worse, like the car was inside something that swallowed the world whole. Then the console screen blinked again. Please verify your memory before entry. Failure to recall will result in repetition. A video started playing. It was me, at 6 years old. I was sitting on a brown carpet, the one from my childhood home, crisscross applesauce, facing a static TV. I was holding a stuffed rabbit. I remember that rabbit. I named it Doctor. Hurt. Then something walked into the frame behind me. It wasn't my mom. It wasn't my dad. It was me again, but grown, wearing what I was wearing right now. I reached down, picked up the rabbit, and whispered something into the child version of me's ear. He nodded. Then the screen went black. New message. Memory accepted. You're ready. The car stopped. We were in front of a hospital I'd never seen before. No name on the building. Just 6 rusted letters hanging crooked over the entrance. KETCH. A flickering E. A missing A. No lights in the windows. No ambulance. Just fog rising up from the ground like it was breathing. As I stepped out, the air felt thick. Not humid. Heavy. Like walking through syrup that smelled like copper and mildew. The knife felt hot in my hand. My phone buzzed once, and then died, and the front doors opened before I touched them. Inside, everything was too clean, walls too white, floor too polished, not a speck of dirt, not a smudge on any window, and no sound, not even the hum of electricity. Then a PA system crackled. Patient 1444 admitted. Proceed to room 0. I walked down the corridor. Every step echoed 4 times. 4. Not 1. Not 2. 4. Like someone was walking beside me on all sides, in perfect rhythm. I passed doors labeled 101, 102, 103, all the way to 313. Then, a blank wall, but I knew what to do. I pressed the knife into my palm, deep enough to bleed, and smeared my hand across the wall. A line of red. The wall split open. Room 0 wasn't a room. It was a theater. Hundreds of chairs. All full. All filled with versions of me. Some were children. Some old. Some were deformed. Some were wearing prison uniforms. Some were in hospital gowns. One had his eyes sewn shut. Another had no mouth at all. They didn't speak. They just watched as I stepped onto the center stage. In front of me, a single white hospital bed. In it, Eloise. But she wasn't crying. She was bleeding. From her eyes. From her mouth. From her ears. Her hands were tied to the bed rails with telephone cords. Her legs bent the wrong direction. Toes curled like broken antennae. Above her, on a suspended monitor, my diagnosis appeared. Patient exhibits. Type 9. Pathological recursion. Symptoms include compulsion to revisit trauma, creation of false therapy loops, denial of violence, committed obsession with distortion, self-directed memory, erasure through ritualistic repetition. I didn't understand any of it. Not fully. Not yet. But then, the monitor showed footage. Security cam style. Me, in room 313, standing over Eloise with the same knife. But she wasn't resisting. She was thanking me. Please, she whispered in the video. Do it again. Make it end. You're the only one who remembers. And then I watched myself slit her throat. I dropped the knife. In the theater, every version of me stood up, in unison, no emotion, no sound, just standing. Then they all spoke in perfect harmony. Session 3, complete. You are the therapist now, I screamed, and the room collapsed inward, not exploded, collapsed, like someone flipped a room inside out and folded it into my skull. Pain ripped through my body like electric teeth. My ears burst. My eyes bled. I fell through myself and landed back in my apartment. 3:33 a.m. The knife was gone. The Polaroid was gone. But my phone had one new message. No sender. Just a timestamp. Next session. When the mirror blinks first. If you're reading this, you're part of it now. If your reflection has ever blinked before you do, you've already been diagnosed. You just haven't remembered yet. There's only one session left, and then the therapy ends, or everything else does. The final session didn't come with a time. No countdown, no reminder email, just one message scratched into the inside of my bathroom mirror. backwards, as if something had written it from the other side. The reflection blinked. You're late. The letters weren't in ink or condensation. They were carved. I ran my fingers across them, jagged, thin, fresh. I cut my fingertip just tracing the first word, and the second I looked at my reflection again, it didn't move. It just stared. My face, but still, expressionless, eyes wide, mouth ever so slightly smiling, like it knew something I didn't. I blinked. It didn't. I smiled. It grinned. Then the grin grew, wider, wider, until the skin on its cheeks cracked, splitting like rotting fruit, bloodless, clean, like something rehearsed it. Then the reflection lifted its own hand and pointed down, and in the sink, where I dropped the towel-covered knife 3 nights ago, was a new phone. Not mine. An older iPhone. Model 6. No SIM card. 1 contact. Session 0. I didn't want to answer. I had to. When I tapped the name, the screen went black and the camera turned on automatically. The front-facing camera, showing me, showing the mirror behind me. Except now, there were 2 of me. 1 in the reflection, 1 on the screen, both smiling, neither blinking. Then it started playing a video, grainy, VHS static style, like a snuff film trying to be a nature documentary. Footage of a room, a white room, stainless steel floors, red stains in every corner, 1 single gurney bolted to the floor, a drain in the center that looked clogged with hair, and hanging on the wall, from a hook, my gray hoodie. I dropped the phone. It didn't stop playing. Now audio kicked in. A voice I'd only heard once before, when I was 10, when my mother took too many pills and I found her slumped over the toilet, whispering things that didn't make sense. That voice, my mother's voice. You were supposed to be the last. Why did you come back? We closed the door. We closed the door. We closed. A loud, distorted chime cut her off. The same chime I heard in the first session, like a school bell in a building that hadn't been opened in decades. The screen shifted. Now the phone was showing me in 3rd person, live, standing in my bathroom, holding the phone. Except, I wasn't alone. In the corner of the room, in the shadow cast by the doorframe, something moved. It looked like a woman, but upside down, not crawling on the ceiling, not standing on her hands. Her entire body was reversed, head where feet should be, jaw slack, hair defying gravity, eyes black holes, knees bending forward, legs clicking unnaturally with each step. Her face wasn't Eloise. Her face was mine. Mouth moving, but not making words, just a low humming noise, like an old woman rocking a crib that was already empty. A lullaby meant for dead things. And then she said it, not aloud, not in my ears, inside my skull. Final session begins now. We are ready to divide. I blacked out. Not like before. Not gentle. This was surgical. I felt a pressure behind my eyes, like something was being peeled away. Like a membrane between me and something else was being sliced with precision. I woke up on the floor of an airport terminal, completely empty. Every departure screen read the same word, therapy. The gate number was 000. The intercom crackled. Final boarding for patient number 1444. Please, proceed to the gate of reconciliation. I stood up. All the windows looked out into black, not night, absence. Nothing existed beyond the walls of this building, just the terminal, and me, and them, because they were waiting now. Rows and rows of seats filled with me, all different ages, different timelines, One wore a wedding ring. One had no hands. One was in a hospital gown soaked with red. One was chained to the chair with barbed wire twisted around their throat like a leash. They all looked at me and spoke at once. We were created in pain. You were the source. You were the original mistake. This is the final split. After this, there's no more pretending. A woman walked out of gate 000. Eloise, but not Eloise. Her eyes were gone, hollow, hair cut short, no lips, just skin where her mouth should be, stitched tight like a wound that never healed. She held out a clipboard. On it, a single sheet. Diagnosis: fragmented patient, breach point confirmed, all copies unstable, reintegration required, proceed to surgery. She handed me a scalpel. I couldn't say no. The doors opened. Inside was a surgical theater, bright lights, cold air, a gurney, a mirror on the ceiling angled down so the patient could watch. The patient was me, but asleep, or sedated, barely breathing, wires in the arms, tubes in the throat, chest slowly rising and falling, and the room was full of monitors, each monitor playing footage from different parts of my life. Me crying in the basement when my father left. Me walking out of room 313. Me standing over Eloise. Me smiling as my ex begged me to explain what I'd done. Me watching those animated horror videos on YouTube at 3:12 a.m., grinning, whispering, I wonder what it feels like. They weren't memories. They were loops. Copies of me. All broken. I looked down at my hand. The scalpel wasn't a scalpel anymore. It was the knife. The same knife from every session. I didn't feel horror. I felt completion. And the last message appeared on the mirror above the gurney. To fix the original, the fragments must die. They wanted me to cut them out. Each trauma, each lie, each sin I'd buried and convinced myself never happened. Not with therapy, not with honesty, with blood. I'll spare you the surgical details. No, I won't. I cut up my tongue first, because it lied too much. Then my ears, because they heard what they weren't supposed to. Then my eyes, because they watched and enjoyed it. Every scream from the gurney was mine. Every twitch, every gurgle, every sob, all me. The copies in the seats applauded. Some laughed. One of them hung themselves halfway through, swinging from the ceiling with a phone charger. One clapped until their hands came off. But I kept going, because this was the only way out. Not to heal, to erase. When the final cut was made, when I pulled the heart from the version of me on the table, and it kept beating in my hands, whispering, she's still alive, the room vanished. I woke up in my bed, in my apartment. It's been 3 days. I haven't slept. The mirror still doesn't blink when I do. But I see fewer copies now. Only 2 left. One I see when I close my eyes. One I see in the reflections of other people's sunglasses. They're watching me, studying, taking notes. And last night, someone knocked on my door. A little girl, holding a clipboard. She looked up at me and said, "You're not better yet. The real therapy starts now. Sign here to proceed to session 0. I didn't sign. I shut the door, but the clipboard was already inside my apartment, waiting, covered in blood, with my mother's signature at the bottom. There are no more sessions, just memories you're about to remember. If you've read this far, you've already opened the door. If the mirror blinks, it's already inside. Don't look into your reflection tonight. It might show you something you haven't done, yet